how many people here are also riding Zwift indoor, whatever. So I'm curious now, whoever here in the room is riding indoor on a smart trainer.
A fair few.
So I think everyone is agree with me that in a 1 hour fully exercise or in a half an hour fully, it's bloody hard, right? And indoor, I always say when you do 1 hour indoor, it's like 2 hours outdoor. If this is cheating or not, I don't know, but I feel like on a 1 hour indoor, it's like really, really, really hard. And I think I'm using it multiple ways. If it's for my events, it's also at home. Not early morning because I'm not an early bird, but just in generally lunchtime or evening, depends the weather. And it fits properly in my schedule because when you're a pro athlete, you have bloody time to go whenever you want, almost on the bike. But wife, 2 kids, 2 cats, a dog, the work.
I've seen your dog on Instagram. I need to talk to you about that later. It's
okay.
Incredibly cute, I must say.
Yeah, sometimes it's 9 o'clock and they say, now, half an hour, why not? Or on the end, you connect with friends, Australia, United States, England, whatever it is. I think it's such cool. And I think plus the pandemic has given even more a push that you could be connected with your neighbors or even with friends around the world. And I think it's a platform for your own, it's a platform for fans. It's a community that I think has given cycling a new way to train, to ride, and to enjoy.
I think it was used heavily in the pandemic, wasn't it? Certainly here in the UK when we couldn't go out for more than an hour or something. And then I think in parts of Europe you weren't allowed out at all, were you? So sort of stuck on the balcony or the patio Zwifting. You will be Zwifting on stage tomorrow. Who's here tomorrow morning or afternoon, 12 o'clock-ish? You'll be on stage. You're going to be here on a time trial bike on Zwift.
I want to have Matt Stevens on as well, but he will commentating now. So that's why he takes a role as a commentator. And that will be cool. Short, like I think is always the best occasion when it comes to Zwift and when it comes to such a platform. I mean, we have multiple others, I think, but on the end, it's so cool what this digitals has given us in generally, what has given this platform especially, that you can get connected to people. I think that's super, super cool. And while you're riding, you can also make once in a while a phone call and even talk to your friends, whatever they are. And I think it's super cool and
Do you race as well? Do you put yourself in that hurt locker? Because I've raced like
tomorrow
once or twice and it's savage.
The thing is, we have seen on the Zwift Academy, we have seen races, there will be Esports, like there will be a World Championship, and we have also seen that there are riders coming out from the championships now that having contracts on pro teams. It's a new way instead of mountain bike, cyclocross, track, and now we have a new era where other people from all kinds of sports, and now we have seen especially rowing guys are quite strong, mountaineering guys, and I think cycling has become a bit larger to attract other athletes, but on the end it's not just how much watts you push up the climb, because you have to handle always when you're in a race, especially on not just uphill races, but when you're in a bunch and you ride Tour de France, Flanders, Classics, whatever it is, you need to have certain skills, and this is actually what you can learn on a Zwift or when you ride indoor. But I think it's a super combination to get fit, and I'm super happy that this is existing because with the time I have, it's perfect.
You mentioned there, of course, riders securing contracts within pro teams from the Zwift Academy, from actually racing and riding on Zwift. Do you both believe, or what are your thoughts on e-racing providing a platform for riders to get into the higher echelons of the sport? Is it enough to kind of go from e-racing into a pro team and for that to be the platform for them? Is there something more they may need?
I think that riders, it's a bit of both, because you have to obviously have the power when you're doing e-races. Like anybody who's done an e-race will know that you have to just be putting power out from start to finish. There's, like on the road, you have, a downhill or a corner where you can ease off a bit, whereas when you're e-racing, it's literally full gas for like an hour and it's horrible. But you also have to then be able to combine that with the skill of riding on the road. So, you know, I think it's a case of having to combine them both. You can definitely do the talent identification from picking up on whether somebody has the power, but then you have to also help them hone their skills. So I think that like Canyon SRAM are getting better at doing that. I think they're picking now girls who already have experience with road racing, and I think that's important. But yeah, you can definitely like pick up on the talent ID from who has the power, because even the e-racing that I do in the Zwift Premier League on a Tuesday night, like the power that some of those girls are putting out is insane. And yeah, it's just a case of then being able to combine that with the skill outdoors.
Yeah, honing the bunch skills, the racing nows, the tactics. Fabian, what do you think about using e-racing as a platform? You look a little unsure.
When you ride in a bunch, it's one thing, but when you dropped out, it's so quick that how hard it is. And I have done even some exercise, and sometimes, or even when you participate in a race, and all them been so hard. And even there was last year, there was some other races, and it just feels harder. Even whatever you push, I mean, you think you push the same out, but you have less recovery, you sweat more, you are with your position. I mean, you always have constantly to push. I mean, if you don't push, you don't go nowhere. At least outside, when you have done a small climb, you can just, rolling easy down and recovering. And I think it's just always, and when I look back and it was rainy and cold outside, I said, today, no, I ride 2.5 hours indoor, and that was many, many years ago. And today you say, no, you know what? 1 hour in the morning, 1 hour in the afternoon, good exercise in the morning, good exercise in the afternoon, and when you accumulate that amount of training you have done, you might arrive to a 4-hour easy ride. Because today everything has changed. I mean, today young athletes training as a junior riders already with watts, with power, with cadence, with everything. I mean, 99 and 90 or 2000, I mean, I got my polar heart rate belt. It's the first time ever to, wow, cool, hey, I got something digital. And today you see those young guys already like having everything, super aerodynamic and having all those tools. And it's just now we have what we have seen, younger athletes coming earlier in, and they might also doesn't ride like Jens Voigt until 42 years old. That's not a problem for Jens, he knows that as well when it comes up. But I think everything has changed. Everything with the digitals we have got, everything went quicker, more specific. But when it comes to training plans, I still believe you need to have also not just what you have on the paper. I mean, we're still on the end humans. And if you push and you push and you push indoor on Zwift and it doesn't go, maybe you say, okay, today I leave it, I try tomorrow. Because, like I said, indoor is just harder because you do it shorter.
Yeah, this is my next question actually, is how hard it is. But just on those riders who have sort of forced their way into the top teams, you've got, of course, Ella Harris of Canyon SRAM, who won a stage of the Herald Sun Tour. You've got Jay Vine as well, the Australian rider, who has had a brilliant season for Alpecin-Phoenix. So they're proving that it can be done, and you can translate those skills on the turbo, that power on the turbo, into a good road rider. I have done workouts on Zwift. I've done a couple of races very badly. I got pipped to second by 0.07 or something because my sprint was so useless. Imogen, just how bloody hard and savage is the training, is the racing, and how much is that actually impacted how you feel there on the road and in races?
Yeah, so I think for me, Zwift racing has been really important in terms of learning how to suffer. I've become more comfortable with being uncomfortable, because you have to be when you're doing those really hard races where you have, I think Fabian mentioned it as well, like when a gap opens on Zwift, like it opens and it just opens so quickly. All of a sudden it's like 2 minutes and you're pushing like way above your FTP and you can't even close the gap. Oh, it's really disheartening. So you have to really learn how to like dig in at those really important moments of a Zwift race and just learn how to suffer. So I think for me, the way that's translated over to the road is like, I guess I'm not as afraid to kind of go into the red when I'm on the road now, because I know that, yeah, you somehow recover and you just keep going. So yeah, it's really important for me. Just in terms of learning how to suffer, it's definitely made me a better rider. Yeah.
And I know you hate this quote, but I'm going to say it. You did a recent brilliant interview for Rouleur after your national win, and in it you said that you are very self-funded and very broke. And I know you don't want to be known as the cyclist who's very broke and perhaps secretly hoping people will start throwing money on stage. No, but what doors has this type of racing and this exposure that it's given you, what doors has it opened? And equally, for those who are on Instagram, Imogen also has a brilliantly candid, insightful, honest, incredible Instagram account, and you document every single high and low you go through in your career.
Yeah, I suppose for me, having this opportunity with Movistar has been incredible. Like, I never expected to get onto the team. The fact I've gotten onto the team has just, yeah, obviously I'm riding a Canyon as well. Like, I'm riding a Canyon from Movistar. It's an incredible bike. I have so much support from them as a team. Even if I had like questions about my training or, you know, the racing. And I've had opportunities as well to like, I went racing with them in Girona recently. I was able to go and do the gravel race with them, which was like 350 kilometers. So like doing in one day. So doing something like that was, you know, a real...
That was a week before the Nationals, wasn't
a
it?
week before the Nationals. And, you know, getting to wear like the Movistar kit outdoors and like, you know, actually having earned the right to wear it. Like, those things are amazing opportunities. Like, being able to come here and talk on stage here, it's opened up a lot of doors for me. I mean, a lot of hard work has gone in behind the scenes, but it's really just a really great honor, actually.
It is, yeah. And Fabian, what impact, so I'm speaking to you as though you're the old generation, but I suppose in a sense you are, with the greatest of respect, of course.
Grey hair are coming right now.
Yeah,
I'm losing hair.
I'm sorry to say it. No, what impact do you see e-racing and online training having on cycling now, road racing now? Do you see any impact? Do you foresee any impact in the future? And if you were still racing in the peloton, you're a spring chicken, you could be. Would you be using Zwift regularly as well?
So if I will be now still a professional, of course, I think it's part of because if you do exercises, I mean, specifically when you're preparing a time trial, I think you can really gain something. If you do it every day, I think you get don't say now that word, but mentally you might get destroyed, because I think it's also mentally really hard to maintain. You're constant on the bike and then you just push. When you at least doing exercise, and my exercises I have almost only done outdoor to prepare the time trials and so on. I mean, at least there you are in the nature, maybe a car is passing, maybe you see a cow, maybe you see whatever you see. But indoor, I think it's mentally where you really can get something, but also it can destroy you. Because on the end, when for the time trial you had to get ready, I mean, the last warm-up, the last 30 minutes before the time trial, or 40 minutes, whatever, and then you have your schedule, what you have to train or to get proper warm to be ready. Already there, it's 25 minutes, really focus and you listen music and you do what you have to do. Then you get ready for it. That's one thing. But when you're on Zwift, when you're indoor and you do your exercises or you are participating in a race, you're there alone, so you have to suffer in another way. So you have to not just motivate you, but also the will to not just let them go, because on the end you see them on a screen and you see what you push. But I think it's today if today a rider will not ride on a digital platform, I think, I think it's normal today. It's really normal, and especially also all those trainings they do. Today is everything recorded, every breathing, how much degrees is your body, how much, what you have eaten, what is your blood sugar level, all that things is now today present. So I always say today is like Big Brother is watching you. I had a small example. We was on a small training camp in Spain, and then one of the riders gets a call from the trainer and said, "Hey, there, this half an hour, that was quite a long coffee stop." And then he said, "Yeah, we was with Fabian on the right." "Yeah, but you are not Fabian, you are you, and you have to follow your training schedule." And I said, "You see, and today it's even more." And I also can say that for me, now when I see what the others are doing, I said, I'm happy I'm not anymore in, but it's also because I'm older. But when a young rider comes in, it's normal the way he comes in. And that's why I think all those e-sport things, this whole digital thing, especially when it comes to racing also, it's just a matter of time. And in 10 years, there will be world champions. There will be maybe riders switching back and forward from that, because when you have it in November now, those events, maybe you have only a specific league on certain riders just participating. But I think you need to be not the bad boy, but you need to really you must have it, otherwise you can't. I mean, you need to suffer. I mean, this is also a way of how it has to be, because you suffer in a race, but I think it's another way of suffering. I mean, recently I was listening also some of podcasts also with Geraint Thomas and Brad, and when it comes to this suffer, and when you are in this tunnel, when you're in another world of preparing or just in the mode of a race, then you anyway forget what is around. But then when it's over, then you're definitely going to feel how hard it was. But like we said, when you ride indoor, you just see it after 5 minutes how much you sweat and how much hard it is.
We're really selling it to anyone out here who's debating it, aren't we? I
mean,
suffer.
It's not about to scare someone about it, because
it's a good feeling,
we can drink whatever, how many beers you want. Tomorrow morning you go out, you sweat all out. No, it's not about that. I think.
Is that your plan tonight for tomorrow?
Tomorrow,
that was your next 24 hours you just mentioned there.
Yeah, tomorrow at 12 we suffer, but then, I mean...
there's no we in this.
Short and quick.
It's just you, I'll tell you that
Short and quick, and that's nice. I think it's always... no, it's not to scare someone. I mean, you also... What is nice, you can learn to adapt how to pedal, how much is it to pedaling at 150 watts when you do your FTP test. I think there's so much more than just suffering, sweating, and getting some endorphins in another way. I think it's a platform definitely where also you see how much you have pushed, because certain people, I always say, hey, instead of going 1 hour outdoor and having no clue about also the riding skills, it's also good to learn pedaling and the way you push, and then you can adapt and combining, because only outdoor, only indoor, I think the combination makes and will make the differences.
Yeah, for sure. I feel like you've read my questions, because you mentioned there, in 10 years, we'll see e-racing. My next question is, what do you see the world of e-racing looking like in 10 years?
Well, I see it getting bigger and bigger, and I think especially for women, I see it getting more popular. And I think, for me, I think that is because women can see that there's more actually financial incentive within e-racing than there is within amateur road racing. So like an amateur rider on e-racing, I read this thing online in the last week, like in 2019 when Anna van der Breggen, when she won the Tour of Flanders, she got, I think it was 1,500 for winning. And on that same day, there was an e-race online, and the winner of the e-race got 7,800. And that was more than the combined prize pot of the whole Tour of Flanders women's, right? And I think then if an amateur rider can see, yeah, if I go onto the road, I'll make zero money, and I can crash and maybe ruin my whole Zwift season where I could make money, I think women will be more likely to give it a shot. And if there's more, world tour teams looking to go towards it, like Movistar is the first world tour team to set up an esports team, but if more world tour teams start to look at that and develop that, and there might be talent identification done through it, I think it's just going to get more and more popular. Maybe with the men as well, but I can see there being a real pull for women. that's where I think it will go.
That's good. And it's an interesting point, actually, about it being a financial incentive, certainly for female riders too. Fabian, you mentioned it becoming a sport in its own right and having a peloton in its own right as well, perhaps riders who only race on Zwift in 10 years.
Finals in the Wembley Stadium. How much?
Wow.
80,000 people, 10 riders, mixed up, whatever, and then not 2 hours because, like I said, 2 hours is quite a lot. I think you can get something properly done that in 10 years we might see stadiums with people to see them suffer because, of course, there are finals, there whatever it is, or qualifications, but then also in terms the way also they want to present to show that on screen, because one thing is the riders downstairs or where they are on the platform, and then the other thing is how you ride, and I don't know who are already trained or been participating on a race, because when you are in this peloton, then you know, it's quite easy because you know, I'm actually behind the rider, so it's actually a bit easier. And then you see the other is attacking, and I think as more accurate everything gets, whatever you do, and if this you can play, then it becomes really tactic. Because what is the problem is if you know that you can push 6-7 watts per kilo for 1 hour, then
Speak for yourself.
or 5 watts per kilo, whatever.
3.2
I mean,
or
then
so
it's again this.
for 20 minutes.
The guy goes up a climb, and who knows a bit that when it goes up, it's all about the weight, watts per kilo. And I think there it's also a way to find that you can attract, because otherwise you can just say, okay, let's do an uphill climb. Then of course the light guy is going to win, and the bit heavy one, like I am, are not going to win. But I think when you have flat roads and so on, I think you can get some attracting racing. It's not like e-soccer or e-Formula 1, like the, joystick stuff and so on. But I think there is a chance, because also the industries is pushing. And that we heard about before. I mean, you race Flanders, you get something. You race an e-sport event and you get even much more. And so sounds pity, but on the other hand, industry is there as well, and they also want to push on where those having interest. And that's why the next 10 years they're going to be interesting to see how this world definitely going to explore, but I believe it will explore. Not just about pandemic, what we have seen lately, but just in general, because of our habits in our lives, on the professional world, but also in just generally like people that are riding the bikes. I mean, I think it's normal.
Well, thank you both so much for all of your thoughts. Finally, Fabian, I know tonight beers, as you mentioned, tomorrow sweating it all out here on stage. Lucky us. What else are you up to in your busy retirement?
I think 5 years are gone. Actually, 5 years are passing quite fast. But I think for me, what drives is my motivation about bringing and motivate people from young to old, from unfit to fit, into the world of cycling. And for this, we have created also certain platforms to bring them on. I mean, it starts from a crit project where we want to motivate kids to bring them on a pump track. In Switzerland recently, and it's so nice when you see happy, smiley kids instead of being on a mobile phone or on a whatever digital platform. No, they are coming and riding on a bike on a pump track, and they're spending half a day, and they haven't been on digital, on social, especially social. And I see this is also where I see with the young kids, but then in terms of other platform experiences, challenges, we have a crazy race from Zurich to Zermatt, 280k, over 6,500 kilometers, and it's one of my Chasing Cancellara series, one of these events we have. But for me, it's this challenge, and I tell you, it's not just the winner that I look wow. It's people that starts at 2 o'clock at night and arrives almost at 6-7 o'clock in the evening, and the faces, the happiness of these people, and this is the people also what are new supporters, ambassadors for this sport. Because I think cycling is not just about Tour de France and about classics. It's really about more, because sport has given me so much, and that's why I'm trying to give to this sport so much back, if it's kids and old. I mean, I'm supporting a young professional team on a third level. I mean, 16 boys, and also there, it's not just having the next super guy, it's about making better humans, better cyclists, and I believe then they become also better winners. So I'm quite busy. You mentioned before, small puppy dog at home.
We're going to talk about this backstage. Thank you so much. Very quickly, we are being ushered off stage, but I do have an exclusive for you all tonight, ladies and gentlemen. Imogen Cotter is about to reveal what she is doing for 2022. Imogen.
Well, yeah, I've signed for the Alpecin Phoenix women's team, so Plantar Pura. So I'm going to be riding for them. I'm going to base myself in Spain, but be riding in Belgium. So all the classics. I'm very excited.
There we go. The exclusive. Ladies and gents, Imogen Cotter, Fabian Cancellara.